WPIAL podcast, Trib Live High School Sports Network. We are here to salute our WPIAL Week 1 Team of the Week, the Fightin' Planets. Make sure you get that apostrophe. It's not fighting. Fightin' Planets of Mars High School. Their outstanding coach, Eric Kasperowicz, old friend of the network, kind enough to join us. Eric, we're going to start here before we start talking about your Week 0 and Week 1 victories and the team here in 2025, because that's why we're here. But, before we got started, I mentioned, you're relaxing a little bit on this Labor Day weekend. And you said something that I think is an important message, because we have a lot of young coaches now in the WPIAL. Not that you're old by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll call you a veteran coach, maybe a tad grizzled. It's so easy to get sucked into where football, high school football, and your team and your program and trying to make the most and get the most out of everybody kind of consumes you. It's still important, especially with family, to step back, breathe, and enjoy the rest of your life as well as what you're doing as far as head coach.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And again, thanks for having me, Don. Always a pleasure to be on. It's something as you get older, you have a little more perspective, and not that when I guess so. When you're younger, you're grinding, and it's always that next thing, and you can't waste a minute, and just work, and you definitely can end up wearing out a little bit. So it's just more or less now, just really making it a point to just take a step back, and you need a little time off. So not that I'm going to be off long. I got college football on in there, and I got my computer right here, so it might be an hour on, and then I might go take a boat ride for an hour. I might come back and work for an hour. Just being able to have a little bit of balance, I think,
Right.
is critically important, because you'll burn out if not, and what fun is that if you can't enjoy life and it's just football 24 hours?
Yeah, great point. Hope maybe some of the younger coaches can learn from that. We had our Week 0 Team of the Week was the Upper St. Clair Panthers, Coach Junko, and he mentioned too that what he's trying to do and what he tells his kids to do. You're constantly looking ahead. You work so hard during the week. You go out there on a Friday night, hopefully put it together and are successful in putting up a W. But before you even wake up on Saturday, a lot of times, whether it's players, assistants, or head coaches, already looking ahead to the very next week, the next challenge. And his message to his kids was, especially the seniors, this is a great time of your life. Enjoy it. When you go out there and have success on a Friday night, enjoy it. Don't be obsessed with what's coming up. Just enjoy that moment.
Yeah, it's a great message Coach Junko had. I mean, we kind of do the same. Like last night, hey, told the kids, take 24 hours, enjoy this weekend, enjoy this win. You worked hard for it, right? We put all that effort in, and you come in Monday. Now we close that chapter, open up the next one, and we'll prepare you for that next team, whoever that is. But yeah, I think that's a great point Coach makes, and something that like you said, these young kids got to understand. They work so hard. That's the thing about football. You practice what five days a week, and you only get to play that one game a week. It's not like basketball or lacrosse where you're playing 3-4 times a week. You get that one chance, so you gotta enjoy it when you do have success.
Yeah, good call. The season began in Week 0, 42-7. Mars wins at Beaver. Another road trip here in Week 1. You go to Bethel Park, and you guys come away with another victory. The thing that really impressed me and stuck out, even going back to the Beaver victory, is how well your defense is playing. I think everyone associates great offenses with Eric Kasperowicz coach teams, and we'll talk about the offense, but man, oh man, shutting down a good Beaver team, holding them to 7 points. Bethel Park was lights out. I mean, that had to be a scary preparation when you were watching the tape of what they did against Seneca Valley with the leading passer, the leading rusher, and 2 of the top 5 receivers in the WPIAL in Week 0. Yet, you hold them to 13 points and come away with a great come from behind victory. Do some bragging. Talk about this defense and how well they're playing.
Yeah, I couldn't be more proud of how they're playing. I mean, we faced a real good Beaver team there week one, and played well there. So we knew we had something cooking. And then, like you said, man, it was a nightmare week. Coach Pekic and his staff do such a tremendous job on offense. So the preparation was pretty out of control, pretty crazy. But hats off to our seniors. Captain Zach Denno, he's our middle linebacker, makes all the calls over there for us. He really honed in and had the defense set up to where we needed them set up, and the guys made plays. We tackled well. That tailback Dennison, number eight's a
Yeah.
stud, and the quarterback's a good player. He can throw it over your head, and they do a lot of stuff offensively. They're very creative. But again, hats off to our guys to go out there and make plays. And I'll tell you what, they got some yards, but they earned them, because it wasn't not many big plays. It was, 3 yards, 4 yards, small chunks. It didn't seem like he rushed for, I think he rushed for 120 yards, but it didn't seem like that. Our guys were just grinding. And when they gave up something, might have gave up a run, we were able to tackle them and live to play another down and just make them keep snapping the football.
Yeah, they talk about it at other levels too, but I think it's very important on the high school level. Every time you're watching highlights from various top games in the district, you're seeing the big, 55-yard touchdown pass, the screen that ends up going 75 yards, the runoff tackle that ends up going 83 yards. Big plays, big splash plays, as Coach Tomlin would call them. And you see that everywhere around the WPIAL. But if you have a defense that can make teams grind it out to get their points, whether it's a field goal, whether it's a touchdown, your chances are so much better, because especially at the high school level, putting together a long drive, a long successful drive, is not easy. There are going to be mistakes made, and when you can take away that big play capability from an offense, man, that's huge.
Yeah, great point, Don. And our guys last night didn't give up a touchdown. They scooped and scored on. That's how they scored their
Right.
touchdown. So we're going to give up 2 field goals, and then even last week in the Beaver game, that was a late touchdown versus our. We had our JV kids in by then, but nonetheless, I mean, and that's a point we made, because last year we weren't able to do that. Teams would score, they'd get a big play, they throw a big pass over our head, or maybe they'd break a run and we'd miss a tackle in the secondary. But now at least early on here, we're making them keep snapping the ball, and if they do break something, we're tackling them, and again living to play another down. That's where we keep preaching. And defense, you could play good defense if you have guys that work hard and run to the ball and do what they're coached to do. You don't need 11 superstars over there. You just need 11 guys that do what they're coached to do.
Yep. Fire to the ball. 17-13, Mars comes back, beats Bethel Park to improve to 2-0. We're talking about the Fighting Planets defense right now. I know that in reading over the summer about you guys, the one thing that you did have coming back is experience up front in the trenches, and that's always big. It helps a running game, which we'll be talking about shortly, but that also is what helps shut down opposing offenses when you have that experience, when you have, some pretty good size up front. Is that, again, part of where the success of this defense begins?
No doubt, and that's where it starts, right? Both sides of the ball, but obviously everybody thinks, win the line of scrimmage, they think offense, but it's the same thing on defense, man.
Right.
We play a 4 down front, so a lot of the same cast of characters, but we rotate a lot more through there. And they make the linebackers' job easy. We got 3 tremendous linebackers that are playing right now, and that defensive front does a great job of sucking up blocks and spilling the ball to the correct spot, or boxing the ball wherever we want the ball to go, and the linebackers are there to clean it up, and it makes their jobs easy. There's no gaping holes per se when we're doing things the right way, and we still got a lot to fix. But through week 2, I'm very happy to where we're at right now.
One of the old staples of when Coach Heinauer was at Mars for his long career and a successful career, one of the staples was, of course, they ran the ball a lot, but they always had that that big dog, the big tank, the feature running back, and it appears the cowbell, if you will. It appears that you guys have found one as well. Big game yesterday for, or Friday, I should say, for Aiden Yoakum. 28 carries, 195 yards. Obviously, he's doing a lot of good things for you to keep tucking the ball into his gut.
Yeah, Aiden's a tremendous kid. He's worked hard. He's waited his turn. He was kind of a backup last year and came in. Now he's the starter. He's a captain starter for us, and he's a guy we're going to rely heavily on. He also starts on defense. He plays a lot over there, but he's a guy that he's a change of pace back. He's a lot like kind of the same. I'm watching the Pitt game here. That Desmond Reed. He's a smaller guy, but he's quick. He's explosive. He's got a burst. So we like what he's doing right now, and he's a guy that if we're going to be able to run the ball successfully, he's going to be a really, really big part of it.
One aspect of the Mars defense, which we were talking about earlier, and I sort of neglected to bring up before we flip the script to the offense. Let's go back to the defense. You mentioned Will Sabato's 12-yard fumble return, the only touchdown for Bethel Park. Ethan Krasinski, 35-yard pick six, got your comeback going in that game against Bethel Park. How huge was that play?
It was a tremendous play by Ethan. I mean, not only just he ran, kind of the stunt the play was called. He was in position to make the play, and it's so uncommon that especially a high school kid might be in position to make the play, but do they actually make it? And it was a little screen pass. Ethan jumped it right in front. The kid threw it right in his chest. He caught the ball and then finished the play and scored. And really kind of started that, like you said, springboard on that comeback that we had, or at least to get the momentum back on our side. But yeah, Ethan's been tremendous. He's having a tremendous year so far, 2 weeks in, but he's a guy that's going to be playing, college football on Saturdays for in the future.
Xavier Jackson kicks a field goal, puts them up 13-10, and then you guys answer late in the fourth quarter. Liam Corcoran with a 2-yard run to cap off the game-winning drive. Just talk about the mindset of the team going into that final drive, the final drive itself, and then the feeling once you guys went ahead.
Yeah, well, I think, to your point, the field goal that they kicked to kind of take the lead, they were down to our, I think we fumbled and, right around midfield and had a short field. And they drove down to, I think, 4 minutes left in the game. We had a goal line stand down there. They had first and goal at the 3. We were able to keep them out of the end zone and force that field goal, so I think they went up 13-10. And then we got the kick. We made a critical fourth down conversion right around midfield. Colin Riznick hit Gabe Hine on a conversion, and then after that, it was I think 3 or 4 runs. We Aiden Yoakum had one, and then I think we brought Liam Corcoran in, and he was able to finish it off, just get some fresh legs in there. And he had a tremendous game, Liam Corcoran as well, running the ball and playing defense. But again, following that big offensive line, and able to kind of eventually wear them out in that fourth quarter to pull away with the victory.
The one aspect coming into this year, you knew you would have a new quarterback, and from what I was reading, it seemed like you had several players to choose from, all 10th graders, I believe, if what I read was correct. You decide on Colin, let me get it right, Urisnik?
Uriznik, yep.
Uriznik. Colin Uriznik.
I think it's a good Polish name.
Okay. Polish power. Yeah. He had a really nice debut, 154 yards passing against Beaver. Wasn't asked to do a whole lot. Again, the focus was on the ground game against Bethel Park. But what stood out about his camp and his earning the starting job?
Sorry, Don, you cut out there a little bit.
No apologies needed.
Yeah.
So Colin,
I got the gist of it. Yeah.
Colin wins the starting job in camp.
Yep.
What stood out about that battle in camp, and why Colin was able to be your starting quarterback?
Yeah. So we had a 3-way battle, all sophomores. Ironically, 2 kind of pulled away our incumbent from last year. We had our quarterback got hurt about week 4 last year, so we had a freshman, Nate Walker, that came in and played and started and led us to a WPIAL semifinal game last year. Did a tremendous job as a freshman. So he came back and he was kind of our incumbent. He was the guy that was going to be the starter. We'd have a competition for sure. He had a little shoulder issue in the spring, and Colin came in and kind of started playing well through the 7-on-7 season. And then once we started practicing, Nate still wasn't quite 100%, and Colin just kept developing. And ultimately, when Nate got healthy, Colin was just a little bit ahead of, where Nate was, and that's where we're at now. And Colin had a tremendous week one outing. Didn't play his best game last night, but again, he's a sophomore. He's going to make mistakes, and again, as a quarterback, especially of an offense that we have, you're going to be asked to do a lot, but one of them is not win the game, especially as a sophomore. Your job is to get us in the right plays, make good decisions, get the ball to your playmaker.
Eric Kasperowicz, head coach of the Mars Fighting Planets, our WPIAL team of the week. Fourth year now for you at Mars. The last 2 years, the Fighting Planets making it all the way to the 4A semifinals before getting ousted. Happy with where this program is? Is this pretty much what you thought when you took over?
Yeah, no doubt. We have high expectations, obviously, every year, and to make I think we lost in the quarters the first year, and then 2 semifinal appearances the past 2 years, and we just got to figure out a way to get over the hump, right? I mean, there's some good teams, and I think we lost to Aliquippa, McKeesport, respectively,
Right,
the past 2 years, and it's the same deal where our kids just got to understand that it's a one game at a time, 1 week at a time type of deal, and when we get that opportunity, we got to seize it and just got to figure out a way to get over the hump and, just going 1-0 and taking care of the little things and, coming to work every day and keeping your head down and just playing for each other. And all the cliches is all we know, right? We're not really worried about the future, just coming in and having a great practice on Monday and just keep stacking days. And, we're big believers that if you do that, then the rest takes care of itself.
You got 2 games under your belt, both victories, impressive victories. You have 3 more games coming up before you get into 4A Greater Allegheny Conference play against West Mifflin late in September. What are the pros? What are the cons of having 5 non-conference games before you get into conference play?
Yeah, you'd like to have more of these games count, right? You'd like a bigger conference so the games are actually meaningful, at least towards the playoffs. But with that being said, it is what it is, and I'd much rather have 5 non-conference at the beginning than the
Right,
end,
right.
right? So it's a great way to kind of figure out who you are. Your biggest worry as a coach is just health, right? You want to try to get through unscathed and not lose anybody, but that's going to happen to some extent. So it really just makes your guys ready to go and be ready to step up, but. We got to grind. We got North Hills, my alma mater, next week, who was an 8-2 ball club last year, and then we go. We have our home opener with Aliquippa. No introduction needed there, and then we travel to Montour and face a semifinal tier. Or actually, the team we lost, we beat in the playoffs last year, who was I
Right.
think a 9-1 team last year, number 1 seed in the overall tournament.
Yep.
So we got a nice little grind. I think 2 or 3 of them are 5A teams, but hey, we want to be the best. We got to play the best. The WPIAL gave us a pretty challenging schedule, and we're going to embrace it.
Is it as much of a challenge? You mentioned walking that tightrope. You want this team to gel. You want them to continue to be playing better into October and hopefully November and December. But at the same time, while you're walking that tightrope of being smart physically so that they're not beat up or spent once the big games come down the road, conference play, and then hopefully postseason. But is it also a mental challenge? You just talked about what you've played. You played 2 very good programs in Beaver and in Bethel Park. 3 more big challenges before you even begin conference play. Is that a test, and is that a good thing from a mental standpoint?
Yeah, I think it is because there's going to be challenges. There's going to be ups and downs. We're going to, have some different ebbs and flows in these next couple games. And yet you hope as a coach that brings the team together, that brings the guys together. You go through some different adversities along the way that you can hopefully build off of and then overcome, like you said, once conference play comes, because that's all that really matters. Like all this stuff now is what seeding and for all you guys to rank some different teams and whatnot. But we're excited. We didn't come through this first slate of 5 games last year very successful, right? So we got a little bit of I wouldn't say revenge, but we want to get these guys nonetheless for last year.
I like that. All you guys to rank. You guys in the evil media
The
to
evil
rank.
media.
Because coaches, I hear from coaches when we do rank them, you shouldn't be ranking us. We're trying to fly under the radar. And I hear from them when we don't rank them, you're disrespect. You're disrespect. So it's like,
you're like an official. You can never be right, Don.
That's right. You know? And having been married a long time, I've learned that. So I'm used to it. So you mentioned this upcoming week now in week 2, but your third game, a trip back to Martorelli. 32 years ago, you helped lead the Indians to a state championship, WPIAL and PIAA championship. Is it still special for you, especially the trips back to Martorelli, or, have you done it enough times that this one's just another game?
No, it's real special. It's amazing, just to get back there and, the nostalgia and the memories. You look around and, what went on in previous years. I got such fond memories. Coach McCurry and all his teams, and you hear the band playing, and then they play the fight song, and you forgot about it for so long, but then it hits you and it just takes you back. I think Monterelli is probably the top place in the entire WPIAL to hold a high school football game. So I'm excited to take these planets down there. We haven't been down there yet. At Pine we were down there 3 or 4 times, but up here at Mars we haven't been down yet. So excited to take these guys down there.
Do you still teach down there?
I do.
Okay, well, up there for me, but down there for you.
Down there, yeah.
So that's an additional wrinkle as well, because some of the kids lining up in red jerseys.
No doubt, yeah. I've been there for 27 years, and great relationship with that district and the kids there. Love it. And it's a funny week. A little friendly jabbing going on, but. It's all good. It's all in good fun. They want to win. We want to win. And at the end of the day, you're going to shake hands. You're going to wish each other luck and move on to the next. But it's going to be a special night, no doubt.
Bottom line, if any of those students give you too many zingers in gym class, you have the ability to make them run laps, and they can't do anything to you. So that's a good thing. You kind of talked about it when we started talking about the Greater Allegheny Conference and just 4A in general. And again, it's a small party because of how the setup is with the state brackets. You only get 3 weeks of playoffs instead of the normal 4 weeks of playoffs. So you better be playing some good ball to make sure you get the nod. If you're not winning your conference, that you get the nod to earn one of those wild card spots. And again, makes every game a test.
No doubt, and that's what it was last year. I mean, we were 1-4 going into conference play, so we knew every game, and we said it was a playoff week. Bam, we had to bend. We rattled off, I think, 5 of the next 6 or whatever it was to earn a whatever number 2 seed in our conference, and I think we got 5 or 6 or 7 overall. But nonetheless, yeah, you can't take a week off. Only 8 teams make it. I think 2 from each, and like you said, 2 wild cards. So. It's going to be a grind, and again, we're just trying to take it 1 week at a time, and see where that leaves us.
You mentioned earlier about it'd be nice to play some meaningful games. Well, now that the committee has the say in all these wild cards, in a way, even though these are non-conference games and they don't add up into a mathematical equation like years past, you want a victory over Beaver, a victory over Bethel Park can go a long way to opening up some eyes on that committee.
Solid point, and I think that's a good move, right? Everything we do, not that the WPIAL's perfect by any means, but they're trying to get better and trying to improve. Right. And I think that's one area that could be a huge improvement, because look at the brackets last year. I think the 4A brackets was one of the ones that kind of was tough to seed, right? Yeah. With the Montour, I think they lost the week before, and the Trinity, I think, upset somebody, or West Allegheny upset somebody, and
West Allegheny beat Montour, and they ended up in a 3-way tie with Aliquippa.
Yeah, something goofy there, and just so we're always trying to get better, and that's a good point though. So it's almost like a little dress rehearsal. These games actually do kind of count.
So far, so good. Beat Beaver in week 0. Impressive come from behind victory, shutting down a juggernaut offense for Bethel Park. 17-13. Mars now 2-0 as they get ready to invade Martorelli Stadium on Friday in week 2. Eric, enjoy your little break there. Best of luck, continued success to you and the Fighting Planets.
Appreciate it, Don. Thank you very much. And yeah, go Planets. Always a pleasure to be on your show.
All right, Eric Kasperowicz, head coach of the Mars Fighting Planets, our WPIAL Week 1 Team of the Week here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network.